Are you stuck living paycheck to paycheck and feel like there is no end to this constant cycle of anxiety and financial frustration? Are you feeling overwhelmed by all of the coaches, the gurus, and the analysts giving you 50 different types of strategies to actually break free of that? Then stay tuned, because I'm going to list in order the steps that I take my clients through so that they can stop living paycheck to paycheck. Hey dreamers, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiana Clewis, executive pastor, money coach, and co-founder of a multi-million-dollar consulting firm. I've made it my mission to help women align finance and business with ministry so that they can live out their kingdom purpose just like I am. So if you find that your coins are becoming a roadblock to you building your business, your ministry, or nonprofit on a full-time basis, come on and hang out with us. I've got some tips, tricks, and biblical strategies that will help you make that shift again, like I have. Now that you know who I am and what in the world is going on around here, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Step number 1, get clarity on your finances today. The number one thing that trips people up is that they don't know what their finances actually look like. They're guessing about how much debt they have, they're guessing about their bills, they're guessing about how much it is that they spend on their food and their clothes and their gas and their fun stuff. And those guesses are almost always too low when I talk to clients, because our brains seem to want to protect us from the foolishness of what it is that we happen to have done with our coins. So first, you actually have to figure out what you own, figure out what you owe, and figure out what you spend to be successful. What you own are assets like homes, cars, investment accounts, bank accounts, that kind of stuff. What you owe are your debts like credit cards, student loans, car notes, that $50 your big brother gave you last week. Then you need to see how much you spend each month. Why? Because if you're spending more than you're making, you are actively creating more debt. And if you spend less than you make, you're increasing your assets, which is exactly what we want. So I want you to create a budget using your bank statements and your credit card statements to see what you're spending. For a guide to help you do that, download my beginner budget checklist at tianabclewis.com/checklist. Oh, and yes, since I'm taking you through all of the steps one by one, yeah, they're gonna be super high level. But just remember, step 1, figure out what you own, figure out what you owe, and figure out what you're spending. Step number 2, establish a vision for your future. Once you know where you are, you need to see where you want to go, because once we have both sides of that financial equation, we can actually figure out a plan in order to help you fill that gap. Now, some people will tell you that you need to envision retirement, but I've been in way too many scenarios where the client's in like their 30s and trying to envision another 30 years is just a bit much for them. So let's envision the life that you want in the next 10 years. What does your career look like? What are you making each month? What's your lifestyle look like from home, car, travel, clothes, etc.? Are we investing? What kind of things are we investing in? Are we giving? How much and where? I want you to build a super vivid picture of what you want your life to look like in 10 years. Write it down on paper, and once it matches what you want, I want you to use that vision to help you with the next step. Step number 3 is to brain dump the goals that you need to achieve in order to bridge that gap. Now that you know where you are and where you want to go, you now have to figure out how to bridge that in between. Well, this is where many money coaches really give their clients that first big win, because this step can be hard for clients. But we often do this really fast in our heads based on experience and an overall love for this goofy process. Most of the time, clients will try to figure out all of the really tiny, small milestones that they need to hit in their specific order so that they can reach this vision. First, I need to pay off my credit cards, and I need to save for my business, then I have to invest in a business coach, so on and so forth. Those kind of details in that kind of order. This gets really confusing and overwhelming really fast, especially when we're talking about 10 years. So what I like to do is to brain dump big goals first and then get more detailed and organized later. So we'll start with buying a 6-bedroom house, building your business to $500K annually, getting out of debt, and investing in real estate. Keep the goals big and broad so that you can reduce the overwhelm in the process. Then we can actually move on to step number 4. Step 4 is to choose your first goal and get specific. After we've brain dumped the big goals, we have to choose one to go after first. Then we'll start setting up smaller, more specific goals that will chip away at the big one. Naturally, you're going to want to consider a few things when you're trying to choose which goal, big goal that you want to tackle first. But I mainly like to look at the way that each of these goals interact and impact each other. Let's say once again that our goals for the next 10 years are to buy a 6-bedroom house, build your business to $500K annually, get out of debt, and own $1 million in real estate for passive income. Well, your debt is going to impact the purchase of the 6-bedroom house because of how much you can save for the house each month, and because debt plus a mortgage has bankrupted many a person. That doesn't even take into account the really complicated mortgage calculations that consider debt to income ratio. So I would do the house after the debt. And maybe you say that you don't know anything about real estate yet, but you're crazy knowledgeable about the industry that your business is in. Well, since you're more knowledgeable about the business and the business can fund the purchase of the real estate, then the business would come before the real estate investments. So now we're choosing between the business and the debt repayment. Yes, we can do both at the same time, and in a way we technically will, but we may decide to map out the debt repayment plan first because, say, you've been saving for a much needed piece of equipment that will allow you to scale the business faster. Therefore, we will want to pay off a few debts first to free up that money to save it for the equipment. Now we can go deeper and start setting those very specific milestones for your debt repayment goal without being overwhelmed or confused about what matters most. Hey, I'm just sneaking in for a sec because I know that if you're watching this video, there's like a 95% chance that you're not yet subscribed. So do me a favor, tap that red subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified next time I drop another video, because if you like it just as much as you like this one, it's gonna work out well for everyone. Step number 5 is for us to prioritize your expenses by category and make temporary cuts. Now that we know the first money milestone on our list, we're going to have to add that into our already tight budget, which means something has to be cut out, at least temporarily. The problem here is that people often struggle to make decisions about what to cut from their spending because 1, it's not fun, and 2, everything that's just a normal part of your life starts to feel like a necessity. Well, I hate to tell you this, but everything you're currently spending money on is probably not a necessity. But since they feel like necessities, I like to help my clients group their expenses into 3 broad categories: survival, obligation, and lifestyle. Survival expenses are the bare minimum expenses that must be paid each month for your family to physically stay alive. These are absolute necessities like housing, utilities, clothing, transportation, medications, and childcare, because you know who's gonna watch your kid when you're at work. Obligation expenses are payments that are not necessary for survival, but are still such a high priority because they're tied to an obligation, either to yourself, to your family, or to others, like a creditor. Removing these expenses from your budget typically won't hinder your ability to live, but they will often result in negative impact on the financial, legal, or spiritual stability of your family if they're not covered. The rest? Lifestyle expenses. These expenses are simply purchases you don't need and you're not obligated to make. They're frankly wants. Cutting these out of your budget won't be fun, but sometimes it can be necessary on a short-term basis to recover from an emergency or, like we're talking about here, to hit a financial goal. Obviously, when we make these temporary cuts to our spending to offset the addition of our money goal to the budget, we start with lifestyle. Then we move up to obligation expenses if we absolutely need to. 6. Create a plan to increase income quickly. Now, there are thousands of blog posts and videos about how to make more money, so I won't go into a ton of detail in this video. My only hard rule that I have about increasing your income is to do it legally. Otherwise, how you do it is going to be unique to you, your family, and your life. My point is simply to let you know that, yes, you should also be spending time looking to increase your income. The reality is that cutting expenses is a short-term solution with a very clear cap. Once you start digging into the obligation expenses, or if you're all the way back to your survival expenses, there just isn't anything else left for you to cut from the budget. Plus, as time progresses, inflation starts to eat away at those cuts because the cost of everything in your budget slowly goes up. So for most people, increasing your income is the best and sometimes only way to hit your financial goals and escape the paycheck to paycheck cycle at the same time. Step 7. Create a plan to manage your budget. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that their budget is kind of a set it and forget it thing. But no, it's not. Your budget is like a living, breathing thing that needs to be managed in order for you to be successful. And I've learned that this means creating a system that's going to do 3 things for your budget: track, review, and update. Track means to track your transactions, i.e. put them in the right budget categories. This is a task that should be done every 2 to 3 days and will only take about 15 minutes if you're using a budgeting app like Monarch Money, which is linked in the description. Review means to review your actual spending in each category and compare it to your budget. You can do this once a month when working on your budget for the next month, but I recommend doing this weekly to help you see if you're about to overspend anywhere. If you're 10 days into the month and you've already spent 75% of your eating out budget, you can quickly change your behavior before things start to get bad. Update simply means to update the budget based on your budget reviews. Some people only do this once a month, updating last month's budget for the new month based on what happened and activities planned for the upcoming month. However, you can update the budget as often as you need to as life changes and, tries to deviate from the original plan that you put in place for your life. Take some time to think about how you're going to track, review, and update your budget. And yes, you will have to experiment to perfect your system, and that is a-okay. By the way, if you need help with this particular step, I'm about to launch a mini course in the next couple of weeks that I'm calling the Beginner Budget Masterclass. I know it's not sexy, but hey, my job is to teach you about money, not have sexy names. To be the first to know when it launches, go ahead and sign up on the waitlist at www.tianabclewis.com/masterclass. Then once the masterclass is released, we can get you really quick access and you actually can conquer this step without a whole bunch of confusion. Step number 8, our final step, is to take action without quitting. Now that you have the plan, get to work. Work the plan and don't quit. Look, getting out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle takes effort. It takes time and definitely some trial and error. I guarantee you that you're going to get frustrated on this journey. There are going to be big feelings and maybe even some tears. You're going to say at times, this isn't working and I don't want to do this anymore. I get it. I feel you. Heck, you may even contemplate throwing up your hands and just accepting the paycheck to paycheck life, but don't do it. Believe me when I say that all of those moments are going to be worth it in the end. Once you get to the other side, where missing a couple of paychecks doesn't derail your entire life, in fact, it doesn't phase you, there's a level of peace and security that settles into your spirit. You realize how much stress and anxiety you've been carrying, and once it's off of your shoulders, you won't ever want to go back, which is going to help you stay diligent with your coins in the long term. The word says that Jesus came so that we can have life and have it more abundantly. And let me be clear that the paycheck to paycheck struggle is not exactly abundance. Maybe you won't be super wealthy like Oprah, but you can create a beautiful, comfortable life for you and your family where you're not worried about your bills and your debts and what you're going to do when you retire. Now that freedom, that's what I call abundance. So work the plan, tweaking it as often as you need to, and picking yourself up anytime you stumble. If you have to ask for help, ask for help. But for the sake of you and your family, you absolutely can never, ever quit. And there it is, a high-level view of the 8 steps I take all my clients through to break that paycheck to paycheck cycle, even when they don't realize that's what I'm actually doing. Was it too high level? Do you want me to get into more details on certain steps? If so, let me know in the comments which steps you want me to clarify, and I'll put together a deep diving video for you into that step. And if you want me to help you out directly, I can absolutely do that. You can book a free 30-minute financial breakthrough strategy session where we can start working through those steps together. To sign up, head to my website at tianabclewis.com/breakthrough and book a time that works for you. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up and the session is 100% free, so you literally have nothing to lose and so much financial clarity to gain. Before you go book your session, don't forget to let me know that you found this video useful by hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to my channel by clicking the big red button below. Be sure to hit the bell so that you're notified each week when I drop brand new money tips and biblical strategies to help you break through your financial barriers so that you can step big, bad, and boldly into your God-given calling full time. With that, I'm going to get back to work and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.